Sabrina Carpenter, and I've personally never liked her because I could see the pick-me-ism exuding off of her from when she started trending. But the new album cover really put the icing on the cake for me because it's incredibly difficult to ignore at this point.
I think it's a time and place thing. Like, you know, the guy in the White House is a known misogynist.
Right.
Women's rights are being lost on the daily. There's a trad wife movement that makes me uncomfortable.
If she really wanted to send a satirical message, then what she could have done is get the guy on the ground, put him in a blonde wig, put a collar on him and a leash, pull his hair, and have herself dressed as a man.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I'm back again with another video. And if you are unaware of what's going on, pop singer Sabrina Carpenter dropped her album cover, the album titled A Man's Best Friend, and the internet immediately exploded. Not because of, certain content of the music or what the theme of the album was going to be, strictly because of this pose. Now she has people who are challenging her. They want to cancel her. They're calling the album cover degrading and derogatory. They're calling her a pick-me, anti-feminist, all of the above that you can possibly think of. And I'm going to give you guys my opinion on this entire situation.
They don't like the cover. They don't like the cover.
Well, that's certainly straight.
They find it very offensive and very sexist.
So if you guys are unaware of who she is, I'm pretty sure that if you were shopping in any mall, any kind of store, somewhere, if you're not listening to pop music, that you would know who this is just based off of one of her very, very viral songs called Please, Please, Please.
Please, 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 don't prove I'm right.
So literally 3 days ago, that singer, Sabrina Carpenter, drops this album cover on her Instagram, and it says, "My new album, Man's Best Friend, is out on August 29th, 2025. And immediately the comment section went haywire. You can see, comments like, "Girl, get the hell up. The album cover is not, you're getting so boring. Oh, that's not, girl, I'm so tired of you. Sabrina, girl, we ain't digging the album cover at all." And just, a whole bunch of other derogatory messages. There was one comment in particular that I realized that a lot of people have the same kind of theme all over social media, in which they talk about empowered subjugation. As we can see here, the comment says, "This is where a woman appears to reclaim objectification by choosing it, but instead only reinforces the structures she claims to resist. It appeals to the male gaze under the guise of critiquing it, and that ambiguity is precisely what makes it so insidious. The power she projects is surface level. It flatters patriarchal fantasy more than it disrupts it." And so, I thought it was very interesting. She posts this. She has a large fan base. Okay. She has over 47 million followers on Instagram. She's, charted on the Billboard. Her song was #1. Like, so many different things behind her career. And women have always, come to the forefront and said how much they loved her. They support her, that she supports, women and all this stuff. And I find it so ironic that a woman who is attracted to men, posts this kind of imagery and the internet goes haywire. And according to, feminists, that a woman has a right to choose, a woman has a right to be submissive if she wants to, as long as that is her actual choice. A woman can work or not work. According to feminism is supposed to be for something for women of all capacities, and everybody is welcome. But here we have this woman who posts this image, and clearly all the feminists are showing that that is actually not what they stand by.
I love Sabrina Carpenter, but the album cover is just not it. I can guarantee you, even if she has some sort of artistic vision behind it, even if she's being ironic about the album cover, a lot of people will not get it. Definitely feels like we're going 50 years backwards. That was definitely not a good choice for an album cover.
What I find so interesting about this outrage is that, I remember when WAP came out, and women were literally sexualizing themselves. Okay, if you guys don't remember the single cover art for WAP, I'm going to go ahead and put it right here on the screen so you guys can see it. And, women were sexualizing themselves in such a song, and women looked at that as women empowerment. And you want to know the reason why? It's because no men were involved in that picture and the imagery or anything like that. But if you listen to the lyrics, it is about women competing with other women to get the, male-centered attention, to be the winner, to have the best WAP so she can be the one that's, number one in his eyes, those things. So I believe that this is selective outrage pointing towards the fact that a woman can be submissive or subdued by a man in any kind of way. And, the feminists that say that women have the right to choose relationships, women have the right to be in love, women have the right to be married and have children. It is, again, showing their true colors that that's not what they're about. Because why do you have outrage for this album cover, but you don't have outrage for when NLE Choppa has Sukihana in Sexy Red, being walked like a dog by a leash in his music video? I'm confused. I'm very confused.
Sometimes I really hate pop music because the pop music girlies are such pick-me's and they always normalize being a pick-me and centering male attention and centering men in general in their entire lives. The person I'm talking about in this video is Sabrina Carpenter, and I've personally never liked her because I could see the pick-meism exuding off of her from when she started trending, when she started going viral. I was like, this girl's a pick-me. I knew it, but I said nothing because I like to let y'all enjoy whatever you like to enjoy. I'm not gonna come out here and try to ruin the fun. But the new album cover really put the icing on the cake for me because it's incredibly difficult to ignore at this point. Like, girl, you couldn't spend more than 10 minutes trying to come up with something better. I understand satire very, very well. And this album cover that Sabrina Carpenter just dropped is not satirical. She is literally telling you that her place is on her knees getting her hair pulled by a man. Why? Because she's a pick-me. That to her is an accomplishment. She is a pick-me, you guys. And if you listen to her music, you are subconsciously training yourself to become a pick-me also. Which is why I don't really listen to white girl pop music unless it was in the 2010s era.
What I thought was very interesting about this woman's take on this situation is that she said she doesn't listen to white girl pop music because basically what she's trying to say is that women who are in pop music, white women who are in pop music, believe in the hierarchy of a man is above them. And, they are submissive to their man. They care about their relationships. They want to make sure that they're doing their best or putting their best foot forward to maintain relationships. And so she doesn't agree with that narrative because, again, she's a feminist. And again, like I have to say, this is feminists exposing themselves. So you are clearly saying that it is not okay for a woman to choose to want to be in a relationship, that she is submissive to her husband, that she listens to her husband, that she follows his leadership skills, that she, chooses to be a wife, a homemaker, or whatever the case it is. That's not okay for feminism. But then you have those same women talking about feminism is for everybody. And, we're all it's women supporting women.
I thought feminism is about women choosing. If they choose, shut up. Yes, on the surface, feminism can be interpreted as women having choice and agency. But how are they able to have that choice and agency is through what? Liberation from the patriarchy, alright? Choosing to serve the patriarchy isn't feminist. That is not feminist. It's a choice, but it's not a feminist choice. I feel like a lot of people want to be justified in their decisions by saying it's a feminist choice. Feminism's about choice, to justify behaviours that aren't particularly feminist, but they want to do it anyways. And that's fine. But choosing to work for free in the domestic sphere is not feminist. That is the antithesis to feminism.
And a lot of feminists believe that it is better for you to have a career. It is better for you to, support other women. It's better for you to be around everybody else and not, try to prioritize having a family, prioritizing your husband, prioritizing your children. Like, all those things are negative in the problem. But if you stick with us and you say that men are beneath you and we're number one and men have to bow down to us, if this album cover was the complete opposite of what it is, and it was a man with long hair and he was doing the same thing to her, women will be like, yes, queen.
If she really wanted to send a satirical message, then what she could have done is get the guy on the ground, put him in a blonde wig, put a collar on him and a leash, pull his hair, and have herself dressed as a man, or just dressed as she is. That would have been more satirical than what she's doing right now, all right? That's actual satire. That's actual art. But the fact that she chose to have herself on the ground means she's telling women in this album, your place is at a man's feet. And to me, that's a pick me.
But because a woman, again, who is attracted to men, has this type of album cover, it's an outrage because it is, again, playing into the narrative that yes, women and men are supposed to be together. Yes, a woman can indeed be submissive to a man. People are they're terrified. Because if you are saying that this is true, and if this is a message that you are pushing, then where does that place us where we now have to compete for men? We now actually have to start caring about our looks. We now have to start, possibly losing weight and doing all these things that we have built so hard to try to prove that we don't need men in that way. And now you're putting us in a position that we have to now actively participate. Instead of forcing the men out and making them beg us to be with them because of, all these narratives that have been pushed of, men being beneath women and women being the prize.
Sabrina Carpenter is a straight woman attracted to men. There's nothing weird or off about her album cover. The album cover is her in a submissive position. That's not anti-feminist. And I feel like half the time y'all just learned what the word feminist means yesterday. First off, in kink dynamics, the one with the most power is the submissive. So let's start off with that. And secondly, women have the right to express their sexuality, including straight women, however they want. It is weird to me that y'all can understand the concept of tops and bottoms when it comes to gay people and not straight people, and not understand that it can be consensual and enjoyable for both parties. Y'all think it's weird because your only version of feminism is like TikTok and Twitter girl boss feminism and not real life, real feminism that incorporates women with different desires and different sexualities. I really can't stand how y'all interact with the word feminism and how y'all interact with other women and like terms like decentering men to straight women who like men. To straight women who like men who choose and desire submission. That's not anti-feminist. But you going off and calling it weird and judging her for it, that is.
It's so funny because whenever there's conversations about, women supporting women, women not liking other women, and women not being there for other women, and women not agreeing with other women's beliefs or choices or, situations, it's always the feminist women talking about, no, we're all supportive and we love other women and we'll do anything for other women. And, by all means, again, everyone is welcome and we support them. But it only goes to show that that's not true. It's only about a certain narrative that is being pushed. And if you are a woman and you do not agree with said narrative, you are now kicked out. We don't want to support you. They want to cancel Sabrina Carpenter. They want to make sure that her album does not sell. Like they just want to tarnish her career because of her expressing herself in a certain way. That's weird to me. Because like I said before, when women are doing these things for themselves, If it was, two women in the picture, or like I said before, if it was the man in the picture who was bent down, everybody will be all for it. But anything that shows that a man is, in any way higher than a woman, or it looks as though there's, like I said before, there's some kind of hierarchy within the relationship and the man is the leader, feminists go wild. Okay? They lose their marbles over stuff like this. So much so, it got onto a talk show, and they were talking about it too.
I think it's a time and place thing. Like, the guy in the White House is a known misogynist.
Right.
Women's rights are being lost on the daily. There's a trad wife movement that makes me uncomfortable. There's a submissive, put the women back away kind of thing that seems to be gaining momentum.
It's so weird that trad wife, conversations make her uncomfortable. It's weird that women who want to prioritize being in relationships with men and being submissive to their husbands and trusting their leadership and living their soft lives or living their, homemaker lives makes women feel uncomfortable. That's a strange thing to me. And it's also weird that there's so much outrage, like I said, about this situation, but these same women will applaud people like Cardi B, will applaud people like Megan Thee Stallion, will applaud, the likes of a Sukiana or whoever, and say, yes, we love that they're taking life back by the reins and they're in control of their image. This woman is clearly also in control of her image, but again, you guys are so upset about it because as much work as that they are trying to push forward with, body positivity, and so if he doesn't like you because you're overweight, something is wrong with him. Or, as much as they're trying to push the narrative of we don't need men, decenter men, we can do all things without them. We don't need them. We don't need their support. We don't need any help or assistance from them. As much as they're trying to push these narratives, when women on the other side are now pushing back against that, like I said before, women get shaky because they're like, now where's this going to put us? Now we're going to have to be in that same realm that we were in before, that we're trying to get out of. And not get out of because it's of any benefit or whatever situation. Get out of because of the fact that, they don't want to have to comply.
I was a feminist when feminism was about equality, about levelling the playing field, giving women an opportunity to find their rightful place, particularly in the public world, which was tremendously important and exciting when we achieved that. But what feminism today, to me, is all about advantaging women at the expense of men. And it's become very much caught up in the demonisation of males, presenting them always at a disadvantage. And I don't have any part of that.
If we look at nature's been doing the same thing. Okay? You go out there and try to roll up on a lion if you want to. Okay? The lioness is going to protect her babies. She's going to help have his back trying to protect him. And you go over there and tell her, girl, there's a better way to be. You don't have to live this life. You don't got to go and fend out for these kids. It's nature. It's within her. It's her natural instincts. Women being the weaker vessel. You talking about, women don't get support and women are unprotected. Women being the weaker vessels. Who would be the stronger vessel? It would be the men. And so a woman who honors that, who has chosen wisely, who has gotten with a man, like I said, who has great leadership skills, is a logical thinker, is able to balance himself in a certain way where he can, emotionally regulate everybody within his home, manage everything that's going on, the finances, whatever it is. A man who is in that position, and a woman has, like I said, chosen that space, and the two of them are working together peacefully, happily, lovingly. You have women on the internet who would rather divide their relationships, speak negatively. Oh, well, you like your husband now, but wait until something goes wrong. He gonna embarrass you. Like, they would love to do that instead of saying, yeah, that's another choice that women have. Good for her. Good for her ability to, lean in that way and have a certain peace or whatever the situation is. No, they don't want that.
Hot take, but I don't care that Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover is misogynistic. That girl's doing the exact same thing she's been doing for a year and a half, and you guys were eating it up then. Totally valid to think the timing is in poor taste, but I find it weird the discourse around a 25-year-old pop star woman being far more critical than the discourse around the incels on the internet.
This is my thing. This has been another common thing about the conversation. It has been about timing, right? And regardless of anything that's going on in the world, the world is still going to spin and go around. Okay, regardless of the whatever rights have been taken away, whatever things that have been reversed, at the end of the day, you're still going to have people who are creating children, and you're still going to have people who are still getting married. Okay, women are still, and you still have women, no matter what you see on the internet, who are choosing to be in relationships with men who are attracted to men, and men who are attracted to women who are still marrying women. And so in that space, you are allowed to express yourself freely, creatively and lovingly, regardless of all the other things that are going on. I think it's unfair that this one person has to, comply to what all these other feminists are saying. But at the same time, we see the mass narrative from all women out there. Okay, I could name, too many artists to mention who are supporting the feminist movement, who are supporting we don't need men, who are supporting decentering men, who are supporting all of these other negative connotations against men. So one artist standing in her space and saying, this is what I'm standing for, a man's best friend, whatever the content of the album is going to be or whatever the case is, and she's getting this much negative backlash, so much so that trad wives are catching strays, and women who are married to husbands and who are not working are catching strays, is crazy to me.
There's a trad wife movement that makes me uncomfortable. There's a submissive, put the women back away kind of thing that seems to be gaining momentum.
I think that speaks volumes where we are as a society way more than this album cover ever could. And if you want to know my opinion, I think it's cute. Okay, it's a little risque. It's a little raunchy because it can be, it's up to whoever's interpretation of what they're seeing. But I think it's, it's a little hot, little attractive thing of dominance or submit, whatever it is. And I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't. As a grown up, right? She's a grown woman. It's not like she's a kid, teenage popper or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'd like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your take on this entire situation. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.